I am, among other things, a political philosopher who studies the American founding and the framing. And this particular topic brings to mind a special incident in American politics and American political thought. In 1795, George Washington, the George Washington administration, negotiated a treaty with the leaders of the North African principalities, in particular with the Bey of Algiers. That treaty, which came to be called the Treaty of Tripoli, was ratified by the United States Senate and signed by the newly elected President John Adams in the winter of 1797. Near the very beginning of that treaty, it is said, and I quote, "The government of the United States is not in any sense founded on the Christian religion, as it has in itself no character of enmity against the laws, religion, or tranquility of the Muslims." That treaty continues, "Nor is there any pretext arising from religious opinions that shall ever produce an interruption of harmony between the United States and the governments of the Bey." I wish it was that easy, actually. The complications of religion and politics are just as fraught with confusing ambiguities in the United States as they are in the rest of the world. Even in the American framing and founding, the division among the American thinkers about the proper relationship between religion and politics is so confusing that it's still a political issue down to the present. With that said, I think this might be a good time to introduce our first speaker. I've already mentioned Professor Gholam Riza, Professor of Philosophy at Shahid Beheshti University since 1974. He has been president of the Iranian Academy of Philosophy since 1987. Director of the Research College of Philosophy from 1990 through the year 2000. And founder and director of the Iranian Institute of Philosophy since 2001. He says that his fields of expertise, his specializations, are British empirical philosophy, Descartes, Kant, Hegel, Plato, Aristotle, and courses on comparative themes in philosophy, ontology, and epistemology. He's authored 8 books on philosophy and edited several books in Islamic philosophy. And he particularly mentions a collection of his articles in Persian that have been published under the title Philosophy and Art. And he's a translator of the poems of the well-known Persian poet into English, Nasir Courage, entitled 40 Poems from the Divan. This is somebody well known to international audiences, and he will be speaking to us today. The title is Ethics and Politics Within the Context of Religion. Professor Aavani.
وَيْلٌ لِلْمُخْتَسِمِينَ الَّذِينَ جَعَلُوا الْقُرْآنَ إِذِينَ. Woe to fragmenters of the Quran. That is, each one takes a piece. الَّذِينَ جَعَلُوا الْقُرْآنَ إِذِينَ. That is, they tear the Quran. Quran literally means a totality, an integrity. They tear it asunder. And also, I had in view Kant's book, Religion Within the Confines of Reason. I want to say reason within confines of religion, because his reason is a secular reason. He wants to reduce religion to secularism and to modernity. I do not want to do that. This is a particular interpretation of rationality in Kant. He is a secular philosopher. He's not a divine philosopher. I want to interpret reason. Of course, I do not want to deny reason. I do not want, like Kant, to deny reason in order to open, let's say, an aperture for faith. Religion is not in need of that. So, because I think that the religion of course, we talk of religion, is so strange, has become so strange in our world that you are defending democracy. Of course, it's very good to defend democracy. I want to defend religion and to see the modern concepts, especially secularism. Can we, let's say, fit in secularism and other things which come into the context of religion, or it would destroy religion itself? Before that, in order to, let's say, make my point clear, I'm not talking about Islam and Christianity. I'm talking about religion as such. And I argue that religion is not, as the Greeks say, a homonymous term, that is one name for many things. It is synonymous, that is one term posed for, let's say, synonymously for many things. So, being this religion as one nature, I'm argue in favor of religion as such. And I go, of course, to Christianity, to Islam, to Buddhism and such. So, if we, let's say, define religion in this way, then I go to discuss what are the elements, constituents of religions. Does secularism, let's say, can we make a compromise between secularism and these principles or not? It is not a homonymous term. That is one word stipulated for quite diverse meanings. Otherwise, our discourse about religion would be impossible here if it's a homonymous term. We never can talk and argue about it. It's rather a synonymous term. That is a single term having exactly the same and identical meaning in its multifarious instantiations. Grammatically speaking, this is a truism for which we can find many instances in our routine daily experience. But such grammatical platitudes have deep-rooted metaphysical and ontological foundations without which they would not be even conceivable, which in this case is the universal principle of the manifestation of unity in multiplicity. This is a principle in every aspect of our life, including religion. Ours is a world of spatio-temporal continuum, which by its very nature demands multiplicity and diversity. A fact which is unique in time is not unique in space, and inversely. So everything which we behold in our universe is multiple in nature, even if it appears to be unique. Such multiplicity we observe in individuals, species, genera, substances, colors, races, and languages. To take but the latter example, that is the example of language, each person speaks his own language, and each language appears in its own sphere as the language. But nonetheless, language in all these instances has a singular meaning and function. This argument would apply as well in the case of religion. It would be astonishing, indeed, if this multiplicity did not occur in the religious sphere. So religious multiplicity comes from the very nature of things and the principle of manifestation of unity and multiplicity. Now, one of the constituents of every religion is sacred doctrine. They have every religion has a sacred doctrine which cannot be violated in different forms. Every religion is an integral whole or a totality. I emphasize this. You cannot take away. You should accept or reject. An integral whole or a totality comprising of a sacred doctrine that is a body of perennial truths believed by the adherents of that religion, and a method which is a way of union and which makes possible for the believers of that religion the attainment to the ultimate goal inculcated by that religion. The sacred doctrine is believed in a religion to be absolute and perennial by nature, having nothing in it of the nature of contingency. In all religions, the doctrine is concerned with making a distinction between the absolute and the relative, Atma, Maya, creator and creature, or in some beyond being and being, or in most religions between God and the world. To deny the absolute, to relativize it, downgrade it to a relative status, or to absolutize the relative and that which is contingent by nature. To identify the absolute with the relative is to commit a great metaphysical error and a manifest violation of the sacred doctrine in the religion concerned. The doctrine, moreover, is considered in every religion to be sacred and divine, and hence inviolable, representing the eternal and primordial truth in the human order. It's, as a matter of fact, the highest truth that the human intelligence can attain by the aid of revelation and through divine grace. Lacking the said doctrine, by whatever designation it be called in each religion, is deemed as ignorance, or in, as they say in Hinduism, it is avidya. It is either in possession of it or he's not in possession of it. If he's not in possession of it, they say it is vidya and avidya, pure and simple. Hence, the doctrine has a saving function in each religion. Heathens or pagans who are not in possession of the doctrine are doomed to eternal damnation, and the possessors of the doctrine are apportioned an abode of bliss and beatitude. Every religion, in addition, requires a method, which is a way of attainment and realization, which ultimately ends in beatific vision and salvific union. Without a method, religion would be a mere abstraction. Method, in other words, is the conformity and submission of the human will to the exigencies of the sacred doctrine. The method in each religion is moreover associated with prayers, sacred rites, liturgies, litanies, and certain other sacred practices. Now, there are, in most religions, three essential concomitants. Some of these, the secular view are not taken into consideration, but they're essentials of religion. Now, in these three essential concomitants, one could say, are knowledge, love, and virtue, or good deeds, are the three intrinsic concomitants of every religion, which are correlated with the three distinctive features of human beings, that is, the divine intellect, divine will, and speech. The divine intelligence has as its object the total truth as manifested in the sacred doctrine. The human will has as its proper object the submission to and the deliberate choice of the absolute as revealed in the sacred doctrine. It is fundamentally a choice between the outward and the inward, between the absolute and the relative, between the permanent and the impermanent, between the heaven and the earth, or between God and the world, or the creator and creation. Such a choice would be impossible without a voluntary submission of the human will, which in itself necessitates love of God and necessitates faith. Now, another element and constituent of religion is faith and virtues. This is very important. Virtue is the beginning and the essential, let's say, constituent of every religion. So if in politics it should be taken into consideration, religious, let's say, it's not possible that is to be religious without being virtuous. We are always talking of government, we are talking of democracy, we are talking of everything, and we have forgotten to talk about God, and we have forgotten to talk about virtues, ethics, and things like that. Faith and virtues are two essential elements. In religion, intellectual qualification is not valid. These are plain things, but since they are forgotten truths, I want to emphasize, to draw my conclusion. My prologue and my premises have become many and too long, and we say in Persian that the author, his prologue is longer than his, let's say, book. But since we are concerned with things forgotten, I have to reiterate only on this basis I want to draw my conclusion. If I really tried to, say, let's say, talk about secularism in the confines of religion without these premises, I could not derive. So I want from these premises to derive a conclusion. In religion, intellectual qualification is not valid unless it is accompanied by moral qualification, or in other words, by virtues and pious deeds. Faith in itself implies all the spiritual qualities, such as patience, perseverance, trust, hope, gratitude, confidence, generosity, charity, love of the neighbor, etc. Each virtue, on the